Hello there, Uni here. I've been in a fix because I changed my podcast name from Chat with Gen Z to with Uni. So here's the backstory. I started my podcast in 2021, and from 2021 till 2025, I was Gen Z on the podcast. So I've been in a fix because now that I've changed the name of the podcast to with Uni. How am I going to explain the change? What am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to just come back and act like nothing happened? While I'm going to get to the explanation of the podcast name much later, maybe not in this video, I will do something a bit different just to break the silence. So for the most part of my career in media, right, I do the asking of questions. I'll ask questions and people answer, or I speak to people. However, today I will be the interviewer and I will be the interviewed. So let's get right into it. So why icebreaker questions? Good question. The reason I chose icebreaker questions is because for the most part of my life, right, I always have a hard time letting go of beautiful memories and beautiful moments. And one that is etched in my memory is December last year. What happened in December? So I'm in a community where we celebrate Christmas every December, and one of the highlights of the event for me is usually the fact that we are paired up with people that we don't talk to, or people that we're just meeting for the first time, and we'll get to talk. We'll ask ourselves icebreaker questions. And I remember some of the questions I answered. I was paired with somebody beautiful and amazing. I love you, Chi. Love and colors. I remember some of the answers I gave, and some of the answers I don't remember. So let's get right into it. And maybe I'm going to put a little bit of my own questions into the icebreaker. Let's see how it goes. What's one thing you're looking forward to in the next year? Let's imagine that this is December 2025 and she asked me this question. What was my answer? I remember I told her that my desire much more is to keep God in my thoughts. Esteem God highly much more than I did last year. Right? And it's interesting because I had a very swell moment last year, and I had moments of deep sorrow last year. It was just a blend of emotions, right? But my desire much more in the midst of all of that was to keep God in my thoughts. And I also mentioned the fact that another thing I want to do is be intentional about my church, biblical church. So at the time when I was having a conversation with her, I made a reference to a post somebody made weeks before that moment about if you really value your soul just the way the Lord values it, you would look for a biblical church that will feed your soul with what it needs, truly needs, what will help your heart to be attuned to God's will much more, right? And it will help you to hold a higher view of God, because God is not our mate. So that was a really good point to solidify what I was telling her. Secondly, I told her that what I was looking forward to was to be intentional about my playlist. Yes, intentional about my playlist. And I had to put a disclaimer that, oh no, it's not that this year when I saw my Spotify rap and my YouTube rap, I saw songs that were damaging to my soul. Of course not. It was not even in that context. But when I saw my Spotify rap, I knew that we weren't really so intentional about music. We weren't so intentional about podcasts this year. And it was just in the order of things, how things were, how things played out. I knew it could be better. I knew I could do better than that, so I admitted it. And I think YouTube saw my heart and decided to release a rap. I think a few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly when, but I'm sure that I saw something like that. And it made my heart glad that, okay, we're making progress. I've been intentional. We can do more. Let's do much more, right? Now, I don't know if I'm going to share my Spotify rap. Maybe I'll just send it to Chi at the end of the year, or maybe not. Let's see how it goes. But yes, that's one of the many things I was looking forward to the last year. What else? I told her that I was determined last year to be happy regardless of whatever situation I find myself in. So I mentioned that, and I wanted to be happier. I wanted to be more joyful. I wanted to just embrace the slice of heaven that the Lord has given to us in forms of community, friendships, people, and resources. And I also mentioned that I wanted to admire nature more, just immerse myself in what the Lord has created, because it would help me see God in a better light. It would reiterate to me that God is not my mate. He's the creator of the universe. This was what he created. It would just warm my heart because I was doing that intentionally. I thought that I had lost that practice, right? Where I would look at the sky, stare at the sky for a moment, and just be in awe of how the clouds are forming, or look at the puppy and just see and measure its growth over the weeks, over the months. And I'll just be in awe. Look at pictures on my phone and say, "Oh, okay, this kiddo is now growing big and is backing at us anyhow." So yeah, I wanted to do that much more. Yeah, so I think that was one of many things that we said. And as I'm looking at the questions, I realized that we didn't really touch a lot of the questions because the conversation was so smooth. It took us into other parts of the conversations that the questions did not require. So it was a very beautiful conversation, really. It was a beautiful conversation. So that's it on icebreaker questions. I mean, I answered just one question as opposed to two or even three. I was anticipating that I was going to answer three questions, but it is what it is. Moving on, I would consider doing icebreaker questions once in a while. Yeah, I'll consider it. And what is that one thing that you told yourself that you're looking forward to this year? Especially last year when you were, probably talking to someone or evaluating how the year went for you, 2025. So that was that one thing that you were looking forward to doing. Are you doing that now, or you have a better perspective and you're doing something else? Or you've just forgotten along the line and you want to get back to it? Let's talk about it. Let me know. And yeah, I'll see you next time in another video. And bye for now. Love and colors.